Hi everyone, this is Juliana from Raíces Cyber. We're here continuing our series for cybersecurity career pathways, and with us we have Filipi. If you want to introduce yourself really quick.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much, Liana. I'm Filipi Pires. I've been working with technology since 15 years ago. So in the security field, let's say for the last 10 years, and I'm a part of the Raíces team. So as an advisor, education advisor, whatever name you prefer to use, I'm
Yeah.
here.
Raíces, you notice the Portuguese in there.
Yeah.
I
Or we
love
can we can tell we can say races, we can say raíces, or you can say raízes
Oh,
because there
I
are
love
different
it.
sound. Yeah, like the races is for like American people, and
Yeah.
raíces is maybe can be in Spanish. O sea, podemos hablar español
Raíces.
también, or
Sí, sí,
entonces yeah, or like is can be like raízes in Portuguese language. This is quite similar, like the similar meaning. I mean, like it's a root, basically.
I love it. I love it. So almost 10 years, right, in the cybersecurity
Yeah,
space?
yeah, actually complete 10 years, I think 5 years, 5 days ago.
It feels like you've been in it longer because we're talking to a VIP today, everyone who's watching. And what I mean by that is someone who does a lot in the community, who's I don't want to jump the gun here, but I know you're an organizer for community events as well. Um, so let's go into a little bit about what your actual role right now in
Mhm,
cybersecurity is and define for anyone who's watching, what does it really mean? What is a day-to-day like in that type of
mhm,
role?
definitely. So actually right now I'm head of Identity Threat Labs. So basically Identity Threat Labs is a group of, it's a team for my company here, the company I've been working, Segura. Security means secure. Basically is identity security solution, let's say. So we sell PAN product. PAN is one of the kind of product for identity, like the privileged access management. And we have like solutions for DevSecOps and certificate and many of and Vault as well. So it's focused on identity. And basically my day by day to work is basically investigate new threats, understand how the attacker are, creating new techniques or exploring victims. And based on that, I created content, article, and publish those articles in our blog as a lab docsegura.labs and actually labs.segura.blog. And I publish some
Oh,
technical
plugin.
articles there. Yeah, yeah. And yes, basically I investigate threats. So when some attack happened, I made some investigations. So how they did basically, and sometimes I collecting the malware. I do some reverse engineering and those malwares, and of course, as part of my job is I'm as well not only the head of Identity Threat Labs, but I'm a global product advocate in this company as well. So basically, I'm responsible for speaking different conference, not only technical conference, but let's say business conference. So talking with actually for the C-level board, for customers, partners, and in this case it's more like say risk approach. Talk about risk, about security and other type of things, not a technical way, but
Yeah.
in the business perspective.
Business. Yeah, yeah, yeah. If anyone else is interested in this career path, I've also seen roles. It depends at each company, but I've seen roles that are called global technical evangelist, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And the evangelism part means like that you go at different places and talk about your company's solutions, what they do, but always with a business perspective in mind, right? And you
Mm-hmm.
get invited to customers briefing because as much as we think about cybersecurity being the practitioner side of it, there's also the other side, which is the consumption model of all the solutions that these
Mm-hmm.
cybersecurity practitioners use. And I always give people this advice because me being a pre-sales engineer for a vendor in cybersecurity,
Mm-hmm.
I've understood the importance of talking about the business value and the
Yep.
business risk. So try whoever wants to follow this path, always keep in mind the business trajectory and the business acumen that you can equip yourself with. So at the same time, while you're the director of threat labs, threat intelligence, do you also manage people as well in this role? Or is it more so you lead the technology part of it?
It's actually both. And I made some interviews because I'm hiring some people for this team. And that's the interesting that you mentioned is something about sales engineering or pre-sales actually, because as I said, so I'm doing actually two different roles. One is identity threat labs, another product advocate. So when you talk about the identity threat labs, it's more technical things. So doing research, and in this case, I need this profile. And the second one is product advocate. When you say, basically you said something about the evangelism. So some people that need to talk with the different attendees or like audience, different audience. So it means that they need to talk with customers and client, and of course community events. But like community events is more technically, but when we talk about partners and customers,
Yeah.
they cannot be boring. They need to
Yeah.
talk in more,
Slide.
for exactly,
Death
that's the
by
difference.
PowerPoint,
So
we call it.
yeah, and it came to me like I'm doing kind of different initiative this year. So I'm like involved with the people to telling the people how it's important to have the hybrid profile. So in this case, how you can using your technical skill, but not only technical skill, but the soft skills. And I mean, talk is soft skills. It's about how you can talk with the different audience. So imagine if you'll be invited to talk with a specific event for customers and partner, and you get there and you prepare to specifically talk about, for example, cloud, how you can explore cloud environment. And when we arrive this event, so the people, you asking for the people, so how many people here work with the cloud? And you say in those audience, so just 3% of the audience has cloud provider. So how you can manage those type of things? So you will talk about exploitation in the cloud when your audience is just have a 5% has cloud. So the most part of the audience, like 95% is on premise.
Right.
So you need to shift this very quickly. So that's the key about to have this hybrid profile. So answer your questions about the managing people. So that's the point. So I have some people to manage, and sometimes I need to like delivery technical things. So let's say I work in both sides. And because of my path, as you said, because it's interesting thing about me. So I'm graduated in process management. I'm
Yeah,
not
let's go
technical
into a
guy.
little bit that, right? Because like you are a director
Yeah,
now, like you're a global evangelist, but how did this come about? Where did you start from university days to now?
yeah, definitely. That's a very nice question because I start my career not talking about technology. I was participating in events. Yeah, when I was like when I was I don't know 22 years old. So I was responsible for organizing pre-events, events, and post-events. Basically doing kind of administrative tasks. It's not exactly technology, but I was involved with this kind of events organization. But again, not talking about technology. I was talking about different business, like market business, whatever.
Yeah.
And but in 2009, I moved into this. I always work as a sales. So if I came back, my background in my city in Brazil, I'm Brazilian by the way, but I'm talking right now from Portugal. That's the point. And if you look at when I was 10 years old, long time ago, so I sell my first product when I was 10 years old. My first product was the box of
Young.
eggs. Like I live
Eggs.
eggs, yeah, because I live in the poor city in
Eggs
Brazil,
are
and
expensive now. Hey.
oh, definitely,
They're
it's too expensive. But at
luxurious.
that time
They're a commodity.
was cheaper, exactly. So that
Yeah.
was my first experience with sales.
Right.
So I saw this no little box because I had a 30 eggs inside of this kind of box. So it was like it's a small community. It's a pure community, let's say,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Brazil, and we call favela in the most part. Like it's a in my city we don't call favela, whatever we call villa, but in São Paulo or Rio de Janeiro we call favela. But it's like in another different thing. But usually in Brazil we call suburb, but in
Uh-huh.
US suburb it means another things, not
Mm.
exactly the same meaning that we have in Portuguese. But anyway, just to clarify the people, it's like a poor community, let's
I
say.
think that's very important
So
because it shows a lot about like where we come from, and there's skills that we get from our upbringing that can translate well into a career in tech and
yeah,
cybersecurity too.
yeah, and that's the key. So I didn't suffer anything. I was like enjoying my time. Even when I
Yeah.
had I was 10 years, 11 years, 12 years old. Doesn't matter. I enjoyed that time. Like I know nowadays that people, oh, I have a suffer life. There's no, it's not this way for me. Like I was enjoying that time. And I knew that I was poor guy, and it doesn't matter. I enjoyed my time that time. I learned about that. Anyways, so like I was involved. I knew that okay, that's small communities is not it's just a small community. It's not the world. Usually, for the people that live in is like a poor community, they think usually that's okay. This is like uh, I don't know. It's not good to say poor community, but how can I say that's in another word? I'm not saying
Um,
like how you can say that
we can say underserved. I mean, it's fine. Like we can say poor.
so
Like
that people
I think
understand. Okay, that's just
uh
just to
poor,
be
right?
more polite. I
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I don't know,
No, it's I
like
don't think it I think a lot of people, especially when we're looking at underrepresented and underserved communities, a lot of that has to do with the socioeconomic factor, right?
yeah,
So we're not going to turn a blind eye to that. And I think that's very inspiring to have someone that can say
yeah,
that,
yeah, yeah,
hey, I was once in your shoes, and
yeah.
um, you know, I think that's very
Yeah,
inspiring. We
exactly.
can
This
call
is
it
interesting.
poor, like from a lower socioeconomic background.
Yeah, exactly. I came this way. Just I remember when I was 16 years old was the first time that I bought my first shoes, tennis shoes. So that's just super nice. It
Yeah.
was in that time I worked in a big television in Brazil. I was the guy responsible for pay bills in the company. And yeah, it's like we call in Brazil we call office boy, but I know that in English it can meaning another things. So I was responsible for service things. So in Brazil, we call office boy the guy that the guy responsible for pay bills for the director. Go to the bank, pay bills, or make
Errands,
I don't know.
like you were running errands, what we call it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like the first job.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
that was my first job, and that was my first job. But anyway, so came to the when I was adult, like 21, 22 years old, as I said. So I started to work at Dell Computer that time. So I made an interview and I passed the process, and I started to work as a su- customer support or support customer, whatever. But I was responsible. Oh no, the name was cancel and re-enter. And basically, my main rule in that time was like when you buy something at Dell Computer, imagine that you
Sure.
buy a laptop and
Yeah.
you forgot, oh Jesus, I didn't buy, for example, the Office and Microsoft Office or the backpack or
Yeah.
like the keyboard. So, but you already bought. So how can I say you need to call the Dell and request, okay, I need to change my order. So when you call this guy, or if you don't like your the thing that you bought. Like for example, I don't like this computer. I would like to cancel my things. So you call this sector, and the sector will be responsible for okay, you bought these things, but I have another option for you, like to
Right.
negotiate things. And the main goal is not to cancel. That's the main goal, and not only this, but to do a kind of upsell at that time. You
Yeah.
cannot
Yeah.
give the discount. That in my
So a little
time,
bit of
I,
logistics, a little bit of fulfillment sales. I'm sure you
yeah.
got a lot of, did you get a lot of people trying to, maneuver their way around and try to get things for free and
Yeah,
complain?
and then that's interesting because in that time in 2009, I like nowadays when you don't like something, you call the company and you just oh, I want to cancel this type of things, and the people say, okay, I will give you another benefits or I give you another things or I give a discount or something like this. And my time
Mm,
at the computer in Brazil, I didn't have any like this kind of. It's just my only argument is to talk.
yeah.
This was that was the time, but it just was nice because I learned a lot. And imagine for some reason, some laptops, the logistic when they came to the like we have a fabric in Brazil.
Yeah.
They producing the laptops in Brazil, but there were another kind of computer came from US. So the logistics was not only 1 week to deliver this laptop, but like more than 2 months. So imagine the people bought the things and looking the logistic. Oh, come on, 2 months. I cannot wait for this
That
time.
was me in my pre-sales role during the semiconductor shortages that I had to tell customers, lead times are a little bit,
Yeah, exactly. Lead
far
time.
out.
That's
Yeah.
that's the
But
worst
I
part.
I think it's important to emphasize starting kind of like from the bottom, or what a lot of people neglect, customer service roles or sales, they look down upon it. But I think at the end of the day, every one of us has to sell their value wherever they end up working, no matter what the role in tech or cybersecurity or elsewhere. So I think it's a very important skill to develop, whether you try to sell in tech or outside of it. And especially with dealing with customers, because it tells you a lot about like relationships with people and how to manage
Hmm.
that. So
Yeah,
yeah, after
definitely,
that,
definitely. Yeah, after that, of course, I received some promotions because I got very nice results. I was a top performer at Dell Computer for many quarters, and then I received a promotion to work in the chat. And I sold computers by chat. It's interesting because
oh
I think 2 weeks
yeah,
ago, my kids came to me and asked me, "Oh, come on, father, how can type in the keyboard and you cannot you don't need to see the keyboard in the laptop. You just type in, look into the for the right side, you keep in the correct words. How did you learn this?" Oh, I work with the
I've
chat.
had experience.
In that time, we didn't have any AI.
Yeah,
That's the
exactly.
key.
And you didn't have
That's
AI
the
to worry about that it would like bypass your chat either
hmm
and try
Yeah,
to trick
exactly.
it
And
into selling
nowadays,
all the computers.
yeah, but like, uh, how can I say that? I think it's the AI can help us a lot for many
Yeah,
things.
yeah, absolutely.
However, one thing that AI don't have is the kind of, I like to say, malicious thing,
Mm,
creative things. So it's like it's the human, like we have. It's not like mechanical things, but that it's a kind of sales approach, let's say. But anyway, so I received kind of promotions. I work after that. I move into the chat, being in a sales guy. In fact, work with the customer like a commercial, not exactly a final user, not a company yet. And after that, I move into a small business, and after that, to move into a medium business, and after that, to the enterprise company. But always being the account executive, or I mean, account manager
okay.
in that time. But I remember that time that I looking for this kind of executive at Dell Computers, and I saw, okay, the main guys that have a very nice results, the top performer guys in the AI perspective, not AI, but the account executive perspective, and I saw those guys that are really good. They had a technical background that I
Mm,
didn't have. So I thought, how can I improve this?
yeah.
There is only one way. I need to move into the technical area, learn it, how the technical works, and after that, I return to the sales. However, when I get there, I keep in there. That's the key.
So you
So
stayed in the
I'm,
dark side, or are we the dark side? I don't know.
yeah, I like to say, like,
That's very cool.
usually with the technical guys working in technical fields a lot of time, you
Hmm.
know, just work. They don't be a rich people because a technical guy, and they think, okay, I need to receive more money. Let me move into the sales,
Yeah,
right?
that's
To be
yeah.
more rich. So I like to do this kind of, funny things. So I work always in the sales. I become a rich. So let me become a bit poor. Let me go to the technical area.
Back to your
It's like,
humble beginnings.
yeah, exactly. No, I'm kidding. But like,
Uh,
that's the thing. So I move into the technical area just because of that. Like I need to improve, because one of the things that I would like to share with the audience is, guys, you need to know about your gaps. I knew my gap. No, I keeping know my gaps. I know all gaps that I have, and that's the important things to know, because all of you and me, all of us, we have gaps.
yep,
It's not a problem to have a gaps. We just need to improve this. And
yep.
we need to know how we can fix this. And that's the advice here. And yeah, so based on that, I moved into the technical. And of course, I didn't have any background with that. So I started to study inside of the Dell computers because they have a very nice um, career path. at that time.
Okay.
Basically, I study about, infrastructure, how the, storage works, how the server works, how the node breaks, and all part of the infrastructure works, how I could sell things. At that time, I was like a sales engineer internally, like sales representative, not a pre-sales, let's say, or sales engineer in representative is working with a small business. And in 2015, 10 years ago, I received the offer to move to the cybersecurity, to be a sales engineer, but working in outside, not internally, but visiting
With
customers.
customers of Dell.
With customers, exactly. No, not of
Oh,
Dell.
not Dell. I was like
I left Dell.
cybersecurity.
Yeah, I left Dell, exactly. But that's the interesting part of the path, because when I work at Dell, I met some people, and one of because when I moved into the pre-sales area, I needed to work with not only one account, but I had more than 15 accounts, because I was responsible for, creating different solutions, technical solutions. One of these guys specifically, he left the Dell and he moved into Trend Micro.
Yeah.
And after 6 months, I think, he was starting to work at Trend Micro as an account manager in the South region in Brazil. And when I left Dell Computer, I talked to him, and he said, "Man, I have opportunity here in Trend Micro, because I needed to hire a sales engineer." And I said, "That's cool. I'm here. Let's do this." And I remember that when I made the interview, one of the interesting question that I always like to mention is about my director asking me, "Filipi, how do you are in terms of the technical things? How you are good technically? Tell me how you are good enough technically."
It's a loaded
And
question.
yeah, and I said, "It's a very nice question, but take a look
Define.
what is my bullshit answer." Let's say, no, bullshit is not polite, but anyway, like I said, "Okay, I'm good in infrastructure, and basically I draw a solution. So I give the business case, and I gave the solution." And this is the bullshit part. And I said, "If you asking me about the black window, what that mean? Black window. Black window, it means prompt. It means CLI. So imagine."
Yeah.
Did you know that?
CLI. Yeah.
It's
CLI is
CLI.
when we, I
Command
think
line
our
interface.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
command
An
line interface.
interface
But
where we're typing commands and
exactly. And I said,
how
so
you
if
can
you asking
enter
me
a
about,
switch, a router.
and I said to him, if you asking me about but I said black mirror, because in Brazil we call black mirror. The people that don't know anything about technology, we call black
That's
mirror.
funny.
Anyway, I have no idea what I did it, but anyway, and I
So
said, if you asking me about like development things using the black window, remember black window? I don't know anything. And he answered me, "Okay, it's enough for me." I think he don't like my answer, but anyway, he said, "Okay, it's enough for me." And he said, "The hard skill, I can put you in the room and I can teach you. But the soft skills, it's different." But anyway, and he said, "Okay." And he finished the interview. And after that, I made another interview with the country manager responsible for the whole Brazil. And I think 2 or 3 days ago, after they hired me to work in that. And I'm very grateful for these people, for this guy specifically, Leonardo Bonomi, because he opened the door for me to go inside in the cybersecurity.
Shout out
Actually,
to Leonardo.
yeah, exactly, because I don't chose the cybersecurity. Cybersecurity chose me,
It
and
chose you.
chose me. Yeah, I recorded another podcast, and the title of the podcast was "The Chosen One," by the way. and that's interesting because that's like there is not movie behind of the scenes. Like it's just that's the way that worked with me. And when I start to work at Trend Micro, I knew that I have many more gaps, and I just needed to improve this. And based on that, I started to study at Trend Micro. They had a very nice culture about the cybersecurity, about threats, And based on that, I basically started to be more passionate with cyber. And after that is the whole history around this is I study a lot. I have a very nice, colleagues that invite me or in like to push me to learn more about threads, and he bring me this idea about how community is important. I remember I started to work at 3Micro in July, and the I don't know 2 weeks that I was working there. So I heard you need to be next to the community. That was my first learning, and then after that, I keeping until now keeping working very close to the community here in Raíces or or whatever another community that I like a red team community that I found in Brazil or red team village at DEFCON, called village adversary village at DEFCON. I'm organizer of the B-side sport right now, and I'm involved because I learned a lot from the community. So I need to bring back basically.
That's right. It keeps you relevant in all sorts of ways, right? So would you say that kind of threat intelligence is sort of your niche now, or do you see yourself doing more like of a generalist role in the future? Now that you're tired of
Actually,
this role.
yeah, that's interesting because when I started in cybersecurity at Trend Micro, uh, I met one guy. He called it, the name of the guy is Fernando Mercedes, and he worked at that time in the threat team. The team in the Trend Micro Research is FTR, the four threat research. It's just they do research for the future
Mm,
threat.
very
And
cool.
when I saw it, my focus, okay, I need to be there for the next years. Or if I cannot be there, I need to work in this type of team. And now I have this team. I have my own team. The Identity Threat Labs basically is the mirror of these teams but this was the journey. Like 10 years ago, I had this dream and now I'm here. And of course, the threats are involved not only investigate one malware, but investigate the whole threat intel about that, like how the attacker are creating new techniques, and how they are, nowadays actually they are not creating new 0 days or new malwares. They're just exploring misconfigurations and vulnerabilities in the authentications process and identity perspective. What I mean identity, talk about the policies and permissions, and that's it. It's as simple like this. So, for example, in the past, if you remember, 2007 was the WannaCry bomb, right?
Yeah.
And but just a simple thing. Okay, the WannaCry just infected many machines in the world just because the user had permission to execute the binary, and they have the shared the SMB protocol allowed in their machine. We are talking about identity in 2017, but we don't call identity, we just call user. Nowadays
Yeah.
we call identity, but
Yeah.
like is the same thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I'm seeing. And based on that, of course, I'm trying to like doing research about the specifically identity, and when I figure something different, I can bring you the new technology to my company right now, Segura. So, for
Mm.
example, for the cloud perspective, I helped the team to creating a feature called attack path, based, of course, in the same idea of the Bloodhound, but Bloodhound is more focused on Active Directory, and Azure Hound is focused on Azure. But I developed 4 modules, for example, for AWS, and based on how the attacker explore these configurations in AWS.
Mhm.
So when I learned about that, I can bring in new technology to the product. So that's one way that Identity Threat Labs works.
So it's a very innovative niche in a way. It allows you to be creative, collaborative, but overall, I'd say it keeps you kind of like, oh, I mean, technology in general, you always have to commit to learn. But this one is a niche where it allows you to be very innovative and up to date. With that, for anyone who's interested in this particular niche, there's so much to learn. how would you advise people that they prioritize their learning? Especially, I meet a lot of newcomers and even myself, right? There is so much to learn that, especially like right now with AI, everyone's thinking like AI security, let's go learn everything we can about it. What has worked for you to prioritize your learning when there's so
Mhm.
much on the menu?
Yeah, definitely. So first answer is, okay, you need to understand in terms of the cybersecurity, what is your passion? Because when you're passionate for something, you be involved with that. It's like a relationship,
Yep.
simple like this. It's okay, can be more like a movie on my answer, but anyway, like, okay, you need to be, first you need to identify about what is your passion. Once you identify this, you need to focus on that. What I mean, focus on that is not like searching for hacking things, but focus on the basic things. Let me
Mm,
explain. So if I like are passionate about the offensive security, so okay, I love hacking things in terms of the offensive security. Okay, what I would need to hacking? Okay, I will hacking, for example, applications, web applications. So okay, before starting to doing a kind of offensive security commands or something like this, or go into the Cal Linux operator OS, whatever, you need to understand how the application works, how you creating a flow of the applications, how each application works. If this applications is, for example, monolithic, or if is is they using, for example, microservices, or if they using, for example, APIs. So which kind of permission you have in each API? When you know do a kind of command in the API, if you receive result 403, for example, what that means in this case, and how you can, for example, fuzzing the API. So this is how understand the applications works. Okay, but Felipe, I like forensic. Okay, if you like forensic, if you're passionate with forensic, you need to understand, okay, how the system operations works, how
mm,
the Windows works, how many libraries you have in the Windows. If I found DLL, is the same meaning that I found, for example, libs in the Unix platform. What's the difference between each one of them? So I'm talking about the infrastructure,
hmm
network, system operations, web application. I'm not talking about hacking. I need to understand how those bases works. For example, I love the for example, privilege escalation. Cool. Okay, but privilege escalation, it means about the users or about network. So if you need to go to the entry point, you need to be in the network layer. Okay, do you know how the module TCP works? The difference between the OSI module, how those difference? 7 layers between 4 layers. When you apply in the company, you apply the OSI module or you apply the TCP module? Think about that. So how you can, if you collecting, talking about forensic, when you collect this network traffic, how you need to investigate the binary. This binary has a kind of, executable. Is if this executable, are you executing the Linux platform? It works or not works? Not works because the library requires libraries from Windows, not the Unix. So that's my advice about the how you can learn. Okay, Felipe, you're suggesting something, but where I can.
But yeah,
Nah,
you
that's
got
it.
it. You're such a sales engineer.
Yeah, what is the
My
next?
next question,
Okay,
yeah.
the next is we have a bunch of platforms. For example, if you there are Burp Academy, for example, it's for free. You can go there. There are kind of, if you like, for example, web applications for web
One more
application in the
time, which
offensive
academy?
perspective. Burp Academy,
Burp-
Portswigger. It's a
Burps.
Portswigger Academy, actually. It's Portswigger from, no, Burp Sweep, sorry. It's a
The burp.
Portswigger. Yeah, because Burpee is a platform, community platform that we're using for Kali from Portswigger. But basically, you can find many, vulnerabilities out there, and you can see videos from the community. You can using the labs. It's just totally free. So that's one way. Of course, there are other platforms for the offensive perspective, like for example, Hack in the Box, Try Hack Me, VulnHub, and bunch of them that you can, um, practice your skills in the offensive perspective. And there are another, for example, if you see Cisco, for example, Cisco Academy, it is very nice for learning about network and
Get you
uh, and
flagging
uh,
them in.
and yeah, for
Yeah.
security. And there are a bunch of things, and Raíces has a kind of training as well, and webinars, and there are a bunch of things. And of course, there are, for example, wine security, offensive security, SAMS is quite expensive, mainly for us Brazilian people. And maybe for US, you have this balance. Maybe you can sometimes pay for it. But anyway, but there are many research. Basically, that's the way that I'm learning right now is this way. And we have books, for example, I have many books from PEC that are very nice. No Stretch, it's another Rail. There are a bunch of magazines that can offer you books to study about those topics.
I love it. I mean, for example, when I was studying for some certifications, the book was okay, but I get very bored and like reading all day. It's like I have this issue too that I can like focus too much on like read for too long. And I was like, I need to watch a video on it, and I need to find like some sort of like person explaining it in a visual way, because otherwise it's not going to stick. And I think that's important too. Going back to basics, we tend to maybe ignore that. I get excited to go to like the hot thing, but if we don't understand how it's connected, even me, there's so many things. I've seen customer diagrams. I didn't understand everything, but like I've asked someone to explain, okay, what does this mean that it's connected to this? Or like it's important to go back to infrastructure, understand how it's connected so you can protect it. And okay, that's some
Yeah,
really
one things that I would like to add.
yeah.
So I worked at Trend Micro for the defensive side when I was a pre-sales, or not pre-sales, I was a sales engineer. And in 2019, before the pandemic, I moved into Poland. I moved with my family to Poland. But when I moved, I remember I was a sales engineer at Trend Micro. And when I moved into Poland, they hired me to be a penetration tester there.
Mm,
It's quite different.
okay.
That's the key. So how I received this offer? Because as a pre-sales or as a sales engineer, so I needed to convince my prospect or possible customer that my product is really good.
Right.
So how I can convince customers, like for the antivirus perspective or IDR and the point detection response, that
Yep.
my product is really
Thanks for
good.
clarifying acronyms.
Yeah, exactly.
For the
I
audience.
need to block the antivirus, right?
Yeah.
So when I put into the POC, proof of concept, and I put in the install in the customers, they need to suffer in kind of attack, or they may
I mean,
suffering
yeah.
some. So you see,
We don't wish it on them.
exactly. So I thought,
But they have to
how I
try.
can how I can convince my customer? I should wish that they suffer an attack during the POC. I
Yeah.
can prove the value. Did you see? That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So based on that, guys, I thought, okay, I need to clarify this for my customer. Based on that, I need to show them how the attacker works, how the attacking works, how the attacker are using techniques. And I show how the attacker do kind of attacks in my lab. And after that, I block the similar attack. I use it some hours, and after that, I share with them how we can block those attacks. And based on that, I start to improve my offensive skills just by myself,
Right.
because I need to prove
Yeah.
the value of my product. So that's the way that I learn it.
Yeah.
And
How else
in practical way,
how else would you show the effectiveness of the EDR solution and
yeah,
antivirus if you don't
exactly.
simulate? Again, not in the customer's environment.
Yeah, but
Uh,
like they based on that, because like for example, I have a question to you. Did you have the opportunity, for example, to infect that with some machine with the WannaCry?
if what was that? If I
Do
have,
you do you have any
I mean, you
experience?
can do a lot
You
of
know,
things.
but do you have an experience to infect a machine with some WannaCry or no patch
Pers
or some ransom? You,
Personally,
yeah,
I haven't infected it.
but like for lab, for example,
I could, yes, I could do a lot
but
of things.
you don't have this experience.
No.
That's interesting. You know that? So probably you sometimes you talk about this attack, right?
Yeah.
Or you talked, but you never seen.
Yeah, exactly what it
That's
looks
the
like.
experience
Yep.
that I'd like to bring the guys. So you
Yep.
need, of course, you need to open a virtual machine and put in the system operation that, you know, you can download the WannaCry from our Bazaar or the Zoo repository from GitHub. and infected the machine just to see the pop-up, see how the machine will be infected. So once you see, like, has a threat guy, let's say, so it's easy to talk about like threats, but you need to be in contact with that, understand like how they encrypted the things, so you can see the file, you can see the encrypted. When you talk about the ransom note, you can find this is the ransom note. Oh, this is the message. This is, for example, when you investigate some kind of malware, you can download the malware, and it's not only one malware. Sometimes when you download, came to you like 3 different binaries. One is a note, another is a binary. It's a downloader, or like the is a downloader, and the third one is the real malware. Or sometimes they came to 4 files. The other is the cryptor. Like there are a bunch of things. So you can see this when you have this experience to infect that specifically machine, of course, in the controlled environment. So, but that's the key.
Yeah, we emphasize that controlled environment, everyone.
Controlled environment,
right? Because you
close
have
the
to see
network.
how it acts, right? So then you can understand the patterns. And then how else would you be a threat researcher or a threat intelligence analyst? And then while you're in a role like that, maybe entry-level analyst, you get to see a lot in the SOC. You will see a lot, and it's about pattern detection. But yeah, I should try it myself. So
no, that's interesting because I did many interviews for many people, and they usually, because like the some position that I had or I have requires some knowledge. And sometimes I ask into the people, okay, what is your training in the cybersecurity? I'm training in SOC. Okay, SOC, cool. So tell me what is IOC, how you can collect IOCs. Okay, sometimes okay, this IP address, is domain, is like hashes, MD5, and other things. Cool. So how you can create a kind of rule to block or to integrate kind of MISP, our information sharing platform. And then the people say, I don't know anything about programming language. Okay, no worries. But how is the logical? Explain the logical. If you know how the IP address and the domain, how you putting this in the logical way? You don't need to put in the code because you have an AI can help you. But how is the logical? If you know about the IOCs, you need to know about AOAs, indicator of attack. So indicator of attack is based on why the attacker do some things, how the reason. So you need to think as how the attacker thinking. So that's the key. So you need to know those bases, but like you said, the entry point, the analyst, or working in the SOC team, you need to be more like, you need to be interested is not a good way, but you need to
dabble
be
into.
Yeah, you need to exactly
In it.
for everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Everything when it came to you need to have the questions. Why the reason why you need to be more investigator the things.
And at least in my company, the way we're structured, a cybersecurity pre-sales engineer will do things like that. But there's an extra layer because we do so much. We offer so much in not just cybersecurity, but enterprise networking, right? Like route switch, wireless, and then we have server. A lot of what we do as generalists is we learn high level, all the solutions, all the portfolio, and then be able to speak to that. Then when it comes down to, let's say a customer needs to do a proof of concept, we have specialized teams for that. So it can depend in each company, right? Like a pre-sales engineer can do different things at different companies. It can be one company that sells one product, or maybe a subset of products that focus on, like for example,
That's my key
identity.
because when I work at Frame Micro, I sell all products.
By the way, if you're at a partner, so this was for a vendor. Let's say you are at a partner, or what we call value add reseller, or maybe a distributor, and you're the partner engineer that still pre-sales. By the way, you're going to work not with one vendor, but like all the vendors that your customers want you to.
Yeah.
Which in a way, it's like a way to really speed up your knowledge, like your learning process. Go to a partner, do pre-sales, and be exposed to all these tools and solutions, and you learn quicker that way, I think, too. But yeah, it's a little bit of a unique situation what we've got going on as opposed to like others. But I know pre-sales engineers that also do the implementation. Let's say a customer buys something, you're responsible to also turn that on and make sure the environment is all set up. Again, it all depends where you're at, and how they operate. Okay, lovely. So there was some really good advice there. Um, what would you say? Maybe we can keep it at not like director level, but threat intelligence. And you touched some on it already, but I want people to picture themselves like, is this something that I would like thrive doing? When looking at characteristics of a person, and we can go back to the soft skills too, not just the hard skills. What type of character of person with what type of characteristics do they need to enjoy a role or a niche like this in threat intel?
Talk about soft skills, right?
Yeah, we can talk
Yeah.
about this.
Okay. And actually, the when you talk about the threat intel is to be curious, actually, for anything like be this feeling of the investigate things. That's one of the soft skills that you should have, and because like not mainly nowadays there are many fake news about the many information. So when we talk about the threat intel, let me bring you an example. So I think 2 weeks ago, Brazil, not Brazil, but the financial sector in Brazil suffering a big attack. We are talking about 2 billion or 1 or 2 billion reais. It means almost 800,000 millions in US dollar, and it came to the biggest attack in the financial sector in Brazil that happened. But they happened. The first publication was in July 4th, I think, and in July 5th, we saw many informations about in the news. The people are talking about the specific vulnerability in Apache, in another different software. But me as a head of identity threat labs, I start to do kind of investigations to understand how deeply this attack happened. It's not about technical things, but about again to be curious, to have the curiosity to understand and to think how the things works. Really, it's not okay. Who bring this information? So some of the newspapers, for example, published something about threat actors involved with this attack, but no one was involved with this attack. Actually, the government, they just published some few informations, and that's the key. So when you talk about the soft skills, so it depends how the way that we will working with the threat intel or the for example the threat labs. So if you like to to publish your articles in the technical way, you don't need to have many soft skills, because like you're working doing technical things and publishing
Right.
in the like the article. On the other hand, if you need to talk or if you like to talk in conference, so you need to have this, you need to you need to training your teach, like talk with the people. You need to be involved with the community, like talk with the people doing networks in different security conference, not only community conference, like for example besides or DEF CON or other conference like these other meetups, but you need to be involved with the business conference, like for example RSA, Black Hat, or other conference like this, or the Cybersecurity Summit or something like this around your region, because you need to be in contact with those peoples to see how this kind of business talks works. And one of the my advice to you, if you love to talking about the technical, not technical, but the concept behind of this, like threat intel, like for example malware, like vulnerability, whatever, but using this cybersecurity approach, not the vendor approach. Okay, we are talking about vendor, like distributors or partners. There are kind of business behind of this that I understand completely. Talk about product. However, to talk in conferences, when you decide to talk in conference, it's better to be in a reference as a speaker talking about cyber threats and not about product. Like, for example, okay, Philippe, just as example, let's invite the Philippe to talk. I don't like Philippe because when he talk, he always sell product. I don't like this guy.
True,
This is a
true, right.
bad
Yeah,
example.
yeah. Because you want to give value to anyone that will listen, right? What is
Yeah.
something, how did you supplement their knowledge base? You're educating them maybe on the latest thread. That's value add. But maybe that person will leave the company that's using your product, go
Mhm.
somewhere else. Doesn't mean they'll have to ramp up on new knowledge. Not because they want to, but because they have to. So I agree with that. Try to be
Yeah,
unbiased with.
sometimes when I talk, the people ask me, okay, Felipe, what is the best solution from PAM solution or the identity solution? And I said, it depends of your environment.
Yeah,
Test.
that's
You
exactly.
need to test everything. Test Segura and test another one. That's it. Because like I don't have any idea what is the protocol that you have in your company.
Yeah.
So I can suggest you to test Segura. Definitely you should test because there are many things very interesting about solution. However, it depends of your environment. Maybe it's not the good solution for your environment. You need to test every solution. And you need to understand how is the best for your infrastructure. It came to another point about observability. So how you can protect your environment if you don't have any idea what you have in your environment. So that's the other advice.
True. I have one last question for you. I have to ask this because I've been asking everyone. How do you feel about certifications? Keep in mind we have a lot of entry level, maybe students as well, right? A lot of them are promised on like fancy boot camps, or you will learn everything if you sit through this. I myself feel the imposter syndrome every day, and I've gotten like networking certifications, but not so much like cybersecurity ones, just an entry
Mhm.
level. How do you feel about certifications?
I love these questions because I know I don't have any problem with that. I'm a professor. I'm a professor at university.
What?
So
Now you mentioned
yeah,
that?
yes, of course. I taught in some university in Brazil. In September, right now, I will give some lessons in the master degree here in Portugal. They invite me to be a professor there, and there are kind of requirements like for some companies, and you need to do the interviews because the people, for example, in RSA, we were there. So they came to us and asked us, and the people asked us, okay, how I can, have the first interview for the cybersecurity because they don't call me. The people team don't call me. So the point is nowadays the people team or the talent acquisition team, they are using a lot of AI. And sometimes they put in the requirements that what is the requirements? Graduation,
Mm,
certification.
yeah.
That's a requirement. If you don't give this match, they don't interview you. That's it. It's a simple answer. So, okay, Philip, but my question is more about learning about certification. You can learning reading books. You can learning doing certification. You can learning doing lessons. You can learning watching us. It depends
Yeah.
how is your methodology to learn. However, to receive an offer to work in a job, you need to fill the requirements. And sometimes the requirements simple like this: graduation and certification. Simple
Mm,
like this. But it depends on you. So I would like to do a certification to learn. Okay, that's super cool. I would like to have a certification just for have a requirement. That's cool because first interview is just a first step. Next steps is the hiring manager. The
yeah.
third step is the technical interview. If you don't know anything, you'll be blocked in the technical interview. So it depends exclusively on you.
Yeah. No, I love
So the
that.
question is, you should do the certification, you should do the college or graduation, you should do everything because you need to pass the first requirements from the talent acquisition team.
I think as long as people maybe touch something from networking and then from security, there's a lot of like entry level certifications out there. As long as they use that opportunity to learn and increase their skill set from nothing to like something, I think they're like a good guidance. But other than that, what we touched earlier, hands-on and using websites like that where you can go do labbing and break things, maybe will take you further than a certification with like a certain
Always, yeah.
title. And again, it's
Yeah,
about how you like again, surround yourself with community. You get to know the people that are working in the industry, get mentors, and that should put you in the path to success. Though competition is very, very high out there, but again, use and practice your sales skills too, because you have to sell your value as well to the company, to the
Hmm.
hiring manager. It's been lovely. Thank you so much, Filipi, and we'll see you in the next series.
See
Bye.
you. Bye bye.